The following is a production of 10 Ply Media. Hello everyone, live from a couch. This is the Couch Thoughts podcast again for this week. I'm Rocky Persinger. With me, Brent Pickens.
How you doing, Rocky?
Pretty good. How are you, Brent?
Pretty good.
All right, man. So this week on the Couch Thoughts podcast, what we got coming up? Well, we're going to talk about what we have been playing this week. Then we're going to go into our movie review of one of our all-time favorite movies, The Big Lebowski. And then we're going to do a little segment at the end we like to call Shoulda Never. And that's a new segment on the show, but we're going to go with it here. I think it's going to be a continuing segment as long as we can think up some stuff. So
keep it rolling.
So we're just going to talk about stuff that they should have never done. So that's it for that. But so we'll get into it here. Brent, what did we play here this week?
Well, we after 3-4 weeks trying to get it beat, we finally beat A Way Out.
We finally beat A Way Out, which we talked about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about it about every week because we were saying we're going to go. What we did, we record this podcast and then we go and we play A Way Out.
Yep.
on the PlayStation 4.
You get an hour or two each week. We finally beat it, and I will say, up till the end, it was an awesome game, and the ending just it ruined it. Honestly, it ruined it for me.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want to spoil it or not, but the game was great.
Yeah.
And then there's a little twist at the end there.
Yeah, and
Let's just say it puts the two players kind of against each other, and it really kind of ruined it for us because we were just rolling along under one assumption, and then it kind of twisted, and we didn't really like the twist.
Yeah.
And I still don't want to spoil it for anybody out there that might play it, but overall, would you still say it's worth playing?
I'll definitely give it a playthrough because it's something to fun. If you have a friend over and it's a good 2-player co-op game. Just the end, what happened at the end just really ruined it for me.
Yeah.
But I think it was you that was telling me that on one of the scenes it was actually taken out of a movie. So
yeah, it's if anybody's seen Heat,
Al Pacino,
with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer's in it.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah, it's been a while too. But I happened to just play this game, and then I sat down and saw that Heat was on Netflix, and I decided I was like, well, I haven't seen Heat in a long time, and I watched Heat because I'm sitting there thinking it was actually a major inspiration for The Dark Knight as well, the Batman movie with Christopher Nolan. So I was watching Heat, and then we had just played this game, and I called Pickens as soon as I saw the ending of Heat, and I was like, man, they ripped off the ending of Heat in A Way Out. But
it was cool. It like I know we said before, but it takes. It has a Shawshank feeling, and then they've added some other stuff in there. And the co-op, they got all kinds of co-op. Like it puts you in the position of the, it feels like you're that character,
Yeah.
And I liked how I'm sure the decisions don't matter a whole lot, but you can go the safe way, or you can go with the other character, which is more of a reckless guy.
Yeah, and that kind of continued till the end of the game.
So it was a really good game. I just the ending kind of took it out of me because I don't know, I was hoping for something else, but
yeah, there was a momentum going with it, and then it kind of that we didn't expect the twist. Maybe we should have, but it didn't go the way we wanted it to go. Yeah. That being said, there's a few different gameplay types in the game. It's pretty cool. we talked about the first week of the podcast, how it started out like the Quantic Dream games, where you had quick time events and you press the buttons. Then it was more like a third person adventure, Uncharted type thing. Yeah. And then it finally turned into like a third person shooter.
Yeah, it's really a different take, because I've never played a game where it had so many different types in it. Normally it's a first person shooter, that's it. But like Rocky said, this one had when you start getting comfortable with one thing, it's like, oh, now it's a third person shooter. So I mean it was a really good game, and I would definitely recommend trying it out.
Yeah, so go out there, play A Way Out on PS4. Make sure you got a friend to come over and play couch co-op. You can play online co-op, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'd definitely recommend the couch. But just have low expectations for the end, and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, guys, so that's it. We finally finished A Way Out after been talking about it for a few weeks. We played it a few hours at a time after we recorded the podcast here. This is kind of the only day we really have where we hang out. We hang out about one day a week now, though. That's one of the major reasons for doing the podcast. So, and that couch co-op, got us to hang out and work together. And we laughed, we cried, we screamed to my wife's discontent.
You think we should give it a rating?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's give it a rating. So where are you at?
Oh boy. See every time.
So you're gonna take the ending into account?
I'm gonna take the ending into account. Okay. But as far as a solid game, I think I'm gonna give it around a 7, because I don't know. I'm not sure about the replay value and all that, but I mean, there's at least another replay value because you can make different decisions, and the story up until the ending was. I mean, I really liked it. I mean, it was really good for it being an independent, film, indie game, and so I mean, I think we'll give it a 7.
Okay, I was the number in my head was 7.5, so I'm going 7.5. I thought it was a like you said, a good game. If the ending would have been good, it would have took it up into the 9 range, honestly. But that ending was like a 1.5 off.
Yeah.
So. So anyways, guys, go play A Way Out. We think it's a pretty cool game. Couch co-op, you have to support it. So now we're going to get into our movie review of the week, and we're going to do one of our all-time favorite movies, The Big Lebowski.
Yes.
It's a Coen Brothers movie. They've done Fargo, No Country for Old Men, several other really famous movies. So it's the Coen Brothers. It's kind of one of their least appreciated films, really.
Well, and I don't think there's a lot of people that haven't seen this movie. That's what I think is crazy. I mean, there's a handful of guys at work that haven't seen it, and
and I don't think I saw this till probably going into college.
Yeah,
I don't know if I had seen it until then, and then. So that's kind of how I came about it. That I had a roommate in college that would watch this movie constantly. It's kind of it's basically a stoner movie.
It is, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and all these other movies that they talk about like a stoner movie. To me, this is the ultimate stoner movie.
Yeah,
like
this and like Half Baked.
Yeah,
is another one with that has Dave Chappelle in it that we really like. But The Big Lebowski, probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. It's got to be 100.
Oh, it's up there.
Because my roommate and I would just watch it over and over again in our dorm room when we had nothing to do. But Brent, how'd you come across this movie?
Man, honestly, I don't really remember. I think I had to be 15 because I was driving myself on my own, and I think I just remember being in Walmart or something, just going through movies, and it was on like the 750 rack, the DVD.
Yeah,
and I don't know, Jeff Bridges. The cover. It's just one of those things that it stands out.
Yeah.
Well, the way they did it,
Yeah, he's got the glasses with the rug in his eyes and stuff. So
and something about it caught me. So I ended up buying it, and I was living in the basement then, and I watched it, man, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
And a lot of people don't have that same.
Yeah, they don't get the humor.
They don't. Yeah, a lot of people, and it's the humor. It's the same thing with Seinfeld, and there's a lot of shows like that. It's a lot of people you either like it or don't like it.
Right.
A lot of people just don't like that humor. I think it's hilarious, and I think kind of Chappelle's kind of the same way.
Yeah,
Chappelle's show would be the same way.
Right.
But, I mean, I've been watching it, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen it.
Oh yeah, it's a staple for us for sure. But we're just going to go through the movie and kind of talk about the plot and talk about some scenes. So if you we're going to spoil the movie, I don't think this movie can be spoiled though.
No.
Even if you know the ending, it's not about the ending. It's about the journey to the ending.
Right.
It's about these different scenes that are put together that
it's really masterful for the way they did it too.
Yeah.
The code. I mean, they did a really good job with it.
Well, they always have the Coen brothers. They always have these. It's kind of like Quentin Tarantino. They have these crazy complex scripts with a lot of dialogue. A lot of people don't like there's a lot of dialogue in the movies, just a lot of talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a sucker for this movie.
And the cast. I mean,
you have to
love it.
Amazing. Jeff Bridges, Steve Buscemi, John Goodman, John Turturro, which we talked about. Sam Elliott is in there.
Sam Elliott. Philip Seymour is Brant.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who passed away now.
Yeah.
So rest in peace to Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah, it's just a Tara Reid is in there when was still not trashy.
Julianne
Moore plays a really good role. She plays Maud Lebowski. So just a lot of and a lot of supporting characters, like the guy who plays Smokey, or the Big Lebowski himself, or the guy who's with John Turturro. I think his name's O'Brien in the movie. So great cast. It's hilarious. That's just some of the reasons we like it. So we'll just get right into it here. So we start out with the opening scene, and the song "Tumbling Tumbleweeds" is playing, and Sam Elliott is doing a voiceover.
Yeah, if they would have got anyone else to do the voiceover, it wouldn't have set the scene. I just don't think it would have been nearly as good. But
yeah.
He's iconic, and he's the perfect guy for that.
Right? Yeah, he is. And he plays Sam Elliott's go-to with the Western character with the cowboy hat and the vest and
the mustache,
the
Western mustache.
The mustache is just I think Sam Elliott has the #1 Hollywood mustache.
Oh yeah.
I mean over even
when you're talking top 3,
yeah, I mean Burt Reynolds, Sam Elliott, and Tom Selleck. That's who I was trying to think of.
That's the 3,
but so I think Sam's #1.
Yeah.
with the mustache, because it is just so full in this movie. It's like spilling over the side of his. I can't grow a mustache. I've got a tiny upper lip.
I mean, I can grow one, but it just looks like a Mexican mustache.
Well, so that's true. That's true. But yeah, mine, at least yours doesn't look like a pedophile mustache like mine does. But you'll have that, I guess. So Sam Elliott's narrating, and there's this tumbleweed going through, and it goes into California, and he's talking about California, and he introduces us to a character called the Dude, played by Jeff Bridges, and his name is Jeffrey Lebowski. So we go into a grocery store scene, and you see him, and so Sam Elliott says he's the laziest man alive.
Yep.
And you see him. He goes in. He takes some half and half and creamer. That we later find out he only drinks White Russians, so that's why he needs the half and half. So he takes a swig out of it there, and then smash cut to him checking out the checkout line, and he's got a milk mustache, and he's writing a check for 69 cents for some half and half. So, so you know, so this is the first time you see the dude played by Jeff Bridges, and it just sets a scene, man.
It does. And a side note too, it's kind of cool. On the check, it actually has it's Jeff Bridges' actual address.
So it must have been his checkbook.
Yeah, it must have been his checkbook, because it actually had his address, and there's a phone number on it too. I don't know if that was his or not.
Yeah, his phone number back in the day or whatever.
I thought that was kind of cool. They actually used his home address.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's another one thing. It was kind of a small movie, you know, even though they had these big stars.
Right.
So it was kind of a small movie, but, you know, so they had all these little things that little accents that really make the whole thing, you know, like he's wearing these shorts that are just dirty, and he wears these sandals that are they're kind of clear plastic sandals. The movie takes place in the early 90s, but you know, it kind of sets that aesthetic, and from a lot of people who lived in LA, I'm sure it's just, you know, it sets the LA scene really well, and Jeff Bridges is just a huge part of that. The way he plays Lebowski, the way he's drinking the milk, the way he talks, you know. So then we see the dude come home. He walks in his front door, and these guys grab him and shove his face in the toilet. You know, and they're saying, "Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the money?" We don't know what they're talking about, but so one of your favorite lines, Pickens, is
they pull him out, and like they dunk his head like 2 or 3 times. They're like, "Where's the money, Lebowski?" He's like, shove me back down there. I'm sure it's down there somewhere, you know. And then they pull it. Yeah,
and that's just another thing of the attitude of the dude, you know. But so then, you know, he's like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" And turns around, and the guy is peeing on his rug. And so this is kind of the crux of the whole movie.
It is.
The rug really tied the room together.
Really tied the room.
Really
together.
tied that room together, and that's a repeated line over and over again in the movie. But so he pees on the rug, and the guys actually realize they got the wrong Lebowski.
Yeah, because he's like, does it look like I have a ring on my finger? He's like, man, the damn toilet seat's up.
Yeah, so they say that your wife Bunny owes Jackie Treehorn some money, right? And he's like, "Do I look like I'm married? The toilet seat's up, man." And so then the guys say, "Hey, isn't this guy supposed to be a millionaire or something?" And then they leave. So then this is where we get another opening credit scene of some guys bowling. And one of my favorite songs ever, "The Man in Me" by Bob Dylan. Just a great song, and it kind of sets it's something that the dude would listen to. You know, it definitely, like, the dude probably loves Bob Dylan. One thing that's kind of funny about that is, you know, Jeff Bridges he would ask the Coen brothers before every scene, like, "Hey man, you think you think the dude smoked a J before this? You know, before this scene?" And you know, then he would go into the scene, and basically the answer was always yes. Like, they were always like, yes, he definitely, you know, smoked before this scene. But so then after the bowling opening, we meet Walter, Sobchak, and Donnie, played by John Goodman and Steve Buscemi. And so they're talking about this rug, you know, and
Walter and the dude are, cause Steve Buscemi's bowling.
And they're talking about this rug, and you know, the dude's like, "It really ties the room together, man," you know, all this stuff. And the dude's at one point, one of my favorite lines. I say this all the time. He says, "The Chinaman peed on my rug," and then Walter later says, "Please, dude, Chinaman is not the preferred nomenclature. Asian American, please. And I say that all the time. If something, that's not the preferred nomenclature. Asian American, please.
We're not talking about a man that Chinaman that worked on the railroad.
Yeah, we're not talking about a man that worked on the railroad here, man. But so then Donnie comes back and tries to ask the dude questions about
He's
the
like,
rug.
What rug, dude?
And so this is where we first see Walter say, he's just like, "Shut the fuck up, Donnie."
Life doesn't start and stop at
your convenience.
Your convenience. Yeah.
So finally, Walter comes to the conclusion that the millionaire Lebowski, since they were trying to pee on his rug, he's the problem. So before we get into that, though, just John Goodman in this movie. He's a Vietnam War veteran.
And he reminds you about it.
And he talks about it every 3 seconds. But we all have that one uncle or somebody that was in Vietnam, and they are exactly like John Goodman in this movie. He's got, he wears army fatigues. He's got a vest on with all the shit. He's always prepared. He's always got a gun on him. He's always a little unhinged. You never know when he's going to snap. My favorite little touch that they did on this, he wears shooting glasses.
He's
got the...
those are actually, they put his prescription in those too.
Really?
Yeah, so that's actually his
So he wears these
glasses.
For those who don't know, shooting glasses are like these bright yellow glasses.
Bright yellow tinted, yeah.
That help you see when you shoot a gun. So it's just the visual of that character. And then Steve Buscemi as Donnie is just really like bashful and and he plays that really well too. Walter's always dominating his conversation.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. So on Walter's suggestion, the dude goes to see the other Jeffrey Lebowski, who is the millionaire.
Oh.
And this is where, so he goes to this mansion, and we see Philip Seymour Hoffman for the first time.
Yeah, this is the first time you meet Brand.
And so he's just this really nervous character, and it's hilarious. All the little, it's another example of all the little details in this movie that make it great. Is Philip Seymour Hoffman? He's always a great character actor.
Yeah.
And like we said, he's gone now. But we learn about the little Lebowski urban achievers. And the dude's like, he says these are Mr. Lebowski's children. And there's like 10, 20 kids in the photograph, and the dude's like, different mothers, huh? And then Philip Seymour Hoffman just does this really weird laugh, like, and then he's like, they're not literally his children. They're his, he sponsors this school or whatever. And then the dude turns and looks into a mirror that has the Time magazine thing on it, which is just hilarious. Like somebody that lazy being on Time magazine. And then the Big Lebowski comes in, So this is just a great scene here.
It really is.
He goes in. The dude asks for money for a rug or a rug because the Chinaman pissed on his rug, and the Big Lebowski basically just cusses him out.
Well, before that, he's like, "Sir, did I pee on your rug?" And Lebowski's like, "No, Woo peed on my rug."
Woo peed on my rug. And he's like, "Every time a rug is micturated upon in this city, do I have to pay for it?" And so he basically runs him off. But that's where we find out his wife Bunny owes all this money to Jackie Treehorn. So the hilarious part here. The Big Lebowski, who's the movie's named after, the millionaire Jeffrey Lebowski, kicks him out of his office, kicks the dude out of his office, and the dude goes out, and what does he say?
Brant, as soon as he walks out, Brant's like, "Well, how'd it go?" He said, he said I could take whatever rug I wanted to out of the house.
Yeah, so then
okay.
So then they give him the rug out of the house, even though the Big Lebowski just kicked him out, which is just hilarious. and then he meets Bunny by the pool.
Yeah.
And
this is when Tara Reid was.
Tara Reid, before she was trashy.
Yep, she was looking good.
She was looking pretty good in this movie. So she asked some weird stuff to the dude. I don't know how much we want to get into that, but
just a little thing, like she's sitting there in her bikini on and painting her nails, and she's painting them green, whatever. But she's like, she puts her foot up, she's like, blow on it. He's like, what? She's like, blow on it. What about the guy in the pool? Because there's a guy floating around, he's passed out.
Which we find out later is one of the nihilists.
Yeah, he's a nihilist, and she's like, he doesn't care about anything. Oh, but that scene is just so funny.
Hilarious scene. Philip Seymour Hoffman reacting to Terry, saying all the stuff. So then, the dude gets his rug. He's happy. So then back to bowling. They're back to bowling. Walter brings in a dog into the bowling. He said, "Man," the dude says, you brought a dog bowling?" And then Walter said, "Well, I didn't bring the dog bowling. I didn't get him shoes. He's not taking your fucking turn.
I'm not buying him a beer."
So he brings this dog, and then one of the most iconic scenes of the whole thing is when they're bowling in a league game, and Donnie just rolls a strike, and then next the other team is up, and guy named Smokey comes up, and apparently Walter thinks he steps over the line.
Yeah. Over the line.
Over the line. So that's another thing that we say constantly. Over the line. This movie's so quotable. I don't know how we're going to get through all these quotes and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. But so Walter says Smokey's over the line and wants him to mark it a 0 because there'll be no score because he violated the rules by stepping over the line. And Smokey says, "No, mark it 8, dude." And so then Walter, which, like I said, the Vietnam War veteran thing, he snaps.
He's like,
he's like, "Am I the only one that gives a fuck about the rules? This isn't Vietnam, there are rules. This isn't Nam, there are rules." I say that a lot too. This isn't Nam. He pulls out a gun in the middle of this bowling alley. It starts freaking out. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're entering a world of pain, Smokey. You're entering a world of pain.
Mark it a 0.
Mark it a 0. So we find out, they're leaving. It cuts to them leaving, and the cops are showing up while they're leaving. And the dude says, "Man, Smokey's a pacifist." There's just another funny thing that happened there. And then the dude, before that, the calmer than you are.
Oh,
line.
calmer, yeah.
He's like, "Walter, you need to calm down." And Walter says, "Perfectly calm, dude. Perfectly calm." And he just pulled a gun on a guy.
And he reminds me, he says, "You just pulled a gun in the while we're bowling." He's like, "Calmer than you are."
Calmer than you are.
He said it like 3 times.
We say that constantly. Calmer than you are. So just every quote in this movie is just quotable. So then back to the house. The dude's listening to the answering machine, and his landlord comes up to get his rent. So he gets a call from Brant, and says, "You need to come here immediately. We have a problem." So he goes back to the Big Lebowski, and this scene is hilarious just because the Big Lebowski's in his study. He's crying, over. We find out that Bunny's been kidnapped.
Yeah.
So, So this is okay. This is one of my main contentions with the movie here, and we can probably talk about it for a little bit. So the Big Lebowski decides to hire the dude to carry the money to pay a ransom because his wife has been kidnapped.
Yes.
So let's look through the logic of this, which later in the movie we do find out why he does this. But why the heck would, if you wanted to get your wife back, why the heck would you hire a guy that you just said was the most incompetent loser on the planet?
He got me.
At this point in the movie, it makes no sense, and I'm like, why is he hiring this guy to do this? And it makes no sense. So then, after this, the movie kind of becomes like a detective story, because then it's the dude is trying to solve the case of this kidnapped girl, and a bunch of crazy stuff happens, but so he hires the dude. So then cut back to bowling, and this is always, this is the thing, they all something crazy happens and they're like, yeah, fuck it, dude, let's go bowling.
Yep.
So they go back to bowling, and this is just one of the best scenes in the movie. We're introduced to John Turturro's character, the Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. Oh.
And it's there's a version of Hotel California playing. It's a mariachi version, because I believe his character is Mexican. And just the visual of he's got this purple jumpsuit on.
The purple socks that he pulls up.
He pulls up these ridiculous purple socks that you can see through. They're so thin. And it's just a visual. If you haven't seen the movie, just watch it for this visual alone. And then he comes over and he gives a speech to Walter and them. Well, actually, it cuts. So you see the Jesus bowl, and he's dancing after he hits his strike, and then so Walter and the dude are talking about the kidnapping. And so this is where they come up with the idea that she kidnapped herself.
Yep.
And then, Walter mentions Lenin, which he means V.I. Lenin from, Russian communism fame. And Donnie thinks he's talking about John Lennon from the Beatles,
Yes.
who had a song called I Am the Walrus.
Yes.
So,
I'm the Walrus. Yeah.
Donnie just keeps saying, I am the walrus. I am the walrus. So, and the dude is just kind of ignoring him. So, that's a fan theory that Brent was telling me about.
Yeah, so there's a fan theory out there saying that when Walter was in Vietnam, Donnie served with him, but he died. So one of the fan theories was that Donnie was actually dead. He was a ghost that was just following around Walter. Because throughout the whole movie, we watched it, and I watched it again just to make sure. But throughout the whole movie, he talks to the dude. The dude only acknowledges him like 3 times.
Yeah,
they have. They really do not have any conversation whatsoever.
Yeah, and Donnie's talking, but then Walter just tells him to shut the fuck up. You never really see the dude address him directly, other than like 3 times in the movie. Which so that kind of those 3 times though kind of shoots that fan theory down.
Right, but it's an interesting
It's an interesting choice that they made creatively to not have the dude really address Donnie, directly.
Yeah.
And even though this character's always talking, and you just see he's kind of just a timid guy that nobody pays attention to, and that's just Donnie. So then they're thinking that she kidnapped herself. Bunny has kidnapped herself, and then to get the Lebowski's money with the ransom. So she's ransoming herself. So then the Jesus comes over. and says one of the greatest lines of all time. Where Walter pulled a gun out earlier. The Jesus comes over, and it's just like, hey, pendejo, I tell you something. You pull that shit with me, you flash a piece on the lanes, I shove that trigger up your ass and pull the trigger till it goes click. And it's just one of the greatest,
and then the dude's like, Jesus.
And he's like, that's right. Nobody fucks with the Jesus. And nobody fucks with the Jesus is just the line from this movie.
It is.
It should be the tagline for everything. So then, the dude is laying on his rug in the house listening to this cassette, and these people show up and knock him out. Later, we find out that it's Maud Lebowski, who is the Big Lebowski's daughter, and they don't get along very well. So we'll keep that in mind for later, but his beeper's going off. So he goes back to the Big Lebowski, and it's time for the drop. They're dropping the money for the ransom to get the Big Lebowski's wife back. And they make it very clear, and Brant says several times, only one person on the drop. They want one person on the drop. And then Brant gives him money and a phone.
Before he leaves, he's like, just remember, dude, her life is in your hands. He's like, please don't say that. He's like, no, her life is in your hands, dude. He says it like 3 more times.
Yeah, and so this is some of the humor that people don't get, I think.
Yeah.
Like with Brant. He says he has all these funny mannerisms.
He does.
And he repeats certain phrases several times throughout the movie. And it's hilarious to us.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just like, why is he saying that? So that's one of the things. But yeah, I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman, that's just one of the great things he does in the movie, is all this little small details that are just, I think maybe it takes a few times of watching the movie, to really get it. So he takes Walter with him, even though they said, don't
bring anybody. And Brand even says, I'd go with you, but he's like, they requested that no one. Just you.
So they go to the drop. He picks up Walter at a pawn shop, and Walter has 2 things. He has what he calls the ringer, which is a fake bag of money
with his dirty undies,
with his dirty underwear in it for the weight.
Yeah.
And an Uzi.
Well, yeah, but the Uzi is packaged up, and I don't even know how he got it out. Even if he,
I have no idea.
It's in like this. It looked like a envelope, wrapped in duct tape.
Yep.
Like a little folder envelope.
Yep. So they go. They're supposed to. They're driving, and they're supposed to throw the money off the bridge of a bridge that they drive across. Well, this kills Walter's plan, because his plan is to jump at the drop. He's going to beat up one of them. They're going to keep the money for themselves, the $1 million, and then he's going to beat the location of money out of one of them. And then everybody wins, right? Well, since they're throwing the money off of a bridge, that just screws Walter's plan up. So in his mind, he adjusts on the fly. Give him credit there.
He does adjust on the fly.
He adjusts on the fly. So now his new plan is throw the ringer instead of the money off the bridge so they don't get the money. Jump out of the moving vehicle and grab one of the guys and beat him up.
Yes.
So what actually happens is he jumps out of the car. He says, "The wheel's yours, dude." And then as he's getting out of the car, another little detail that's hilarious. "We got to take this hill." And
he does say that.
He jumps out of the car, hits the ground. The Uzi goes off.
The Uzi is just rolling. It shoots the back of dude's car. Like it is.
Gives him a flat tire. It's just hilarious. So, you know, the Uzi goes off. The dude gets a flat tire, and the guys get away with the ringer.
Yes.
Right. So nobody has the money, and they go bowling. Walter says, "Fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling."
My only problem with this whole scene here, you have $1 million briefcase. It supposedly has $1 million in it, and you leave it in the trunk of your car.
Oh yeah, they left
while you're going bowling.
Yep.
That's just my biggest.
Yeah, so they have the $1 million. They go bowling, and they leave the $1 million in the trunk of the dude's car. And they come out, and the car's stolen.
Yes.
So with $1 million in the trunk, and then this is one of the parts where the dude actually references Donnie directly.
Yes.
And he says, "Where's your car, dude?" And he's like, I forget what he says exactly. He's like, "You gonna go get your car back?" And he's like, "Thanks, Donnie. I know." You know, and so then he goes and talks to the police about his stolen car. While he's talking to the police, he gets a message from Big Lebowski. So then there's this weird ass naked art scene with Maud. She's flying over,
just throwing paint
everywhere. So then she tells, and I'm going to speed up a little bit because we're already going pretty far on time here, but we find out she shows the dude a porno film that Bunny has been in, that Jackie Treehorn produced, and these nihilists were starring in. The guy's name's Carl Hungus. So this is where the plot kind of starts coming together.
Yeah.
You know, so this is where we really think, okay, she's kidnapped herself. She's getting the ransom money. She's in league with these three guys that are the nihilists or whatever. And then, but then the dude gets picked up by the Big Lebowski, and he has a tow. Which leads to one of my favorite scenes is the dude and Walter in the diner.
Yeah,
the diner scene is one of the best things. And I keep saying that with this movie, but it really is. Walter, you know, you want a tow? That's not her tow. You want a tow? I can get you a tow by 5 o'clock today. You know, and then and he just freaks out in this diner.
He does. He just starts yelling and cussing, and the waitress or the girl behind the bar, she's like, you know, she's an older lady, so she's like, can you please calm down? If you're not, you're gonna have to ask you to leave. He's like, I didn't fight in Vietnam to watch my buddies die face down in the mud. So yeah, it's just
I didn't watch my buddies die face down in the muck to be told that I could not sit here and enjoy my coffee. It's not exactly what he says, but you know.
Yeah.
So then the dude is at home in his bathtub, and the nihilists come in with a ferret, and they put the ferret in the tub. And they're saying, we cares about nothing, Lebowski. We'll come back tomorrow and chop off your Johnson. So then back at the bowling alley, Sam Elliott shows up.
Yeah.
So this is a really cool scene, because at this point you think, okay, well, Sam Elliott, you know it's Sam Elliott's voice at the beginning, you know. But you think, okay, well, maybe Sam Elliott's not in it. Maybe he's just the narrator. Well, they kind of break the fourth wall here by having Sam Elliott, you know, in it.
And his credit in the movie is just the stranger.
Yeah, which is cool. Which is, you know, just like Clint Eastwood in all his movies. He's the Pale Rider and all those. Right. He's just the stranger, which is cool. So that ties back to the Western theme that they had. Sam Elliott, he's just awesome, man.
Yeah.
He asked for some sarsaparilla.
He does.
Got any of that good sarsaparilla?
Was that the part where he's talking to dude? He's like, dude, the only thing is, He's like, do you have to use so much foul language?
You have to use so many cuss words.
So many cuss words. Yeah.
So Brent looked up how many times the F word is in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, there's over 200 times. There's some variation of the F word, and also they say dude 147 times.
So there's a lot of dudes, a lot of F words. So this movie's not for kids, obviously, for 247 uses of the F word. And they're kind of poking fun at themselves there by having Sam Elliott say that.
Yeah.
You know? So, then, the dude, he sees Maud, and then she says, "You haven't gone to the doctor yet." And he goes to the doctor. This is just a weird scene, but it's funny.
Well, he's listening to music too. He just has the headphones in. He just.
And then the doctor's like, he comes in because Maud is the one who knocked him out when he was laying on the rug before, and the doctor says, "Drop your shorts," and he's like, "What?" And then it hits you because Maud has been saying he's a good doctor and thorough.
Thorough.
Very thorough.
Very thorough.
So apparently he is thorough because he has the dude drop his pants there.
And before that, he's like, no, it's my cheek. Or my jaw or something.
So then the dude gets a call and he gets his car back. So oh, sorry, wait. So yeah, he has, and then so yeah, he gets his car back, right? And then the cops are, the detective basically laughs at him because he says, "Do you have any suspects? Do you have any leads?"
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, we're working around the clock." Work 2 shifts.
Work 2 shifts on this. This is our top priority. So then, so they found his car while he's in the bathtub. He gets a thing there. So then the dude's driving down the road, listening to Creedence, and he sees a Volkswagen Bug following him, and then he drops a roach in his lap.
Yep.
And almost burns his car down. But in the process, he finds this kid's homework paper.
Yeah.
So when his car was stolen, wherever it was, this kid left his homework in it. So they're at this weird play that the landlord is having.
Yeah,
weird dude. And I think that's just a throwback to like Los Angeles, and everybody has their own little like stage play and stuff. It's just a weird LA thing. And so they go to this kid's house to interrogate him. And the kid comes down and he just says nothing.
He just sits there.
He just sits there and stares at Walter.
And Walter keeps asking him if this is his homework. The dude's like, he's like, "Walter, we know it's a goddamn homework."
We know it's his homework. And so he says, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're not going to get anything out of you." The kid's name was Larry. I think,
Larry.
Right?
So they're just yelling at him. Like, "We're going to cut your dick off, Larry." He's like...
So then finally John Goodman gets fed up.
"Larry, you're killing your father."
Which is, his dad is an author who's in an iron lung.
He's in an iron lung. Oh.
So so Walter flips out again.
Yep.
Goes out to the dude's car, gets a crowbar.
There's a Corvette.
There's a Corvette out there.
In front of the house.
They think that it's this kid's Corvette because they think he has the money that was in the car when it was stolen. So they think it's this kid's Corvette, and Walter goes out and he starts screaming, "Do you see what happens, Larry? Do you see what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass?" And
he says it like 30 times.
He says it like 50 times as he's completely smashing this red Corvette. Turns out it's not the kid's car.
Whoa, no,
at all. Not. This guy comes out.
I'm not sure how the guy afforded a Corvette. This guy just did not look like the type that'd be rolling around in a Corvette.
No, but So then it cuts, and after all this shit happened, the guy comes out, takes the crowbar away from Walter, and beats the dude's car.
Yeah.
Busts out the back window, and the dude say, "No, man, that's not his car." So then it cuts to, they were saying the kid's house is over by the In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah.
And it cuts to them eating In-N-Out.
Yeah, so they're driving down the road eating In-N-Out Burger.
Which I've never had an In-N-Out Burger.
Well, truck driver at work, he used to live in, I don't know, Colorado or something. But anyway, he said that In-N-Out Burger, it's really good.
Yeah, apparently it's really good. But
I hear people talking about it all the time.
Yeah, but it's a Western chain. We're here in West Virginia, so we don't have that. So then it cuts back to the dude in his apartment, and he's putting in a door jamb.
There's nails sticking out, like he's hammering it, and if you look at the door, it's like the door swings in.
It swings the other way.
It swings the other way. It's like, so he puts a door, a chair in front of the door, and like they just open the door, and the chair falls down.
The chair falls right down. There's these nails. It looks terrible. There's all these nails in this board. But it turns out it's Jackie Treehorn's guys.
Yes. And
they take him to see Jackie Treehorn, who was the producer of the porn film that Bunny was in.
It's the same two that to be in the film when they threw him.
The rug pisser.
Yeah, the rug pisser. Woo.
It was Woo. Woo came back. So he gets to Jackie Treehorn's place, and Jackie Treehorn wants to know where Bunny is. Yep. Which at this point you think, okay, well, Bunny's been in league with Jackie Treehorn, and she kidnapped herself. But we find out that's not the case. So Jackie Treehorn gets a call. He goes over. He answers the phone. He makes a sketch on this sketch pad. And then walks off. So the dude goes over with a pencil to trace this sketch pad. And I never got this part of the movie.
I didn't either. And then I wonder if it was just a setup. If when he left, he was watching a camera. I don't know.
But basically, it's just a guy with a large penis on the sketch pad.
Yeah, it looks like a doodle.
It's like a doodle of a dude with a big dick. But
yeah, so
I didn't. If that was supposed to be a joke in the movie, I didn't really get it.
I didn't either.
So yeah. So then Jackie Treehorn drugs the dude. The dude goes down, and he has this weird hallucination fantasy thing. What Condition My Condition was in is playing.
It's a catchy tune.
It's a catchy tune. Me and Pickens like that song. But it's a really weird thing with bowling and Vikings and the nihilist chopping off his Johnson. He's flying through the air under a bunch of women's legs and stuff. Really weird. It cuts out, and he's running down the street like he's been hallucinating the whole time. So then he gets arrested because he's running down the middle of the town.
Yep. And
he basically gets kicked out of Malibu, where Jackie Treehorn was, by the sheriff there.
Yep.
So the dude, and then, we see Bunny in her car.
Yeah, just cruising by.
So jamming. She's just jamming out. So we're like, what's going on here? We thought she kidnapped herself.
And it zooms in on her feet, and it shows she still has all of her toes.
She still has all of her toes. So the toe that the Big Lebowski got was not her toe. So then the dude comes home. His place is completely trashed by Jackie Treehorn's guys. And Maude Lebowski shows up.
Yep.
Which is a weird scene, because she shows up, she's in his robe, she drops the robe and says, make love to me, Lebowski.
Well, she just says, love me.
Love me, Lebowski. Love me. And, which is weird, because that's Lebowski's her name, too.
Yeah, it is.
But, so then he's like, hey, that's my robe. That's all he has to say about it. So, then, after they have sex, find out that she's trying to get pregnant.
Yeah, she's laying there doing all these actions. He's like, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I can't remember how she words it, but a word for to get pregnant."
Yeah. Yeah. So that's at the point. Maude tells him that the Big Lebowski actually doesn't have any money.
Yep.
And it was all her mother's money.
Yep.
And the $1 million, this is where it all comes together for the dude.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't see this, but you cut to a diner and the nihilists are sitting there, and they have a girlfriend and she's missing her pinky toe.
Yep.
So that's when you find out, okay, the nihilists did that. Turns out the Big Lebowski never had the $1 million.
Yeah, he just has. I get the daughter or Maude takes care of it, and she gives him allowance of so much a month.
Right. So he withdrew $1 million to pay for this quote unquote ransom, but he kept the money for himself.
Yep.
And
he's trying to depend on the dude.
Right. So it all comes together for him. And that Lebowski actually didn't care if Bunny came back or not.
Right. She's a headache anyway.
Yeah. So the dude gets Walter. They go to confront Lebowski. And they find Bunny's car crashed into the fountain. And she's running around naked. And then they confront the Big Lebowski about him keeping the $1 million for yourself. Yep. And he basically says, well, that's the way you see it. The way I see it is, I gave it to you and you lost it.
And Walter's with the dude when this happens.
Walter's with the dude, and
this is one of the funniest parts. And he's like, I bet you. He's talking to the dude, Walter is, and he's like, I bet you he ain't even a paraplegic. I bet he can walk. He's like, I guarantee he can walk. And he bear hugs him, picks him up, and drops him.
Yeah. And it turns out he actually was paralyzed.
He could not walk.
He could not walk, clearly. So then, fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling. They go back to bowling. And so this is a pretty pivotal scene here because Donnie has been bowling strikes the whole movie.
Yep.
And then he bowls he bowls a frame and there's one pin left standing.
Yeah, and if you really don't pay attention to this, you don't see it. But then, this is the first time I've seen this part. Not the first time I've seen it, but when he knocks all of them down but one pin.
Yep.
And then when he goes and sits down, it shows the dude and Walter talking. So if you're not paying attention to Donnie, you miss it. But he's grabbing his hand, his hand's numb.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. See, this is the first time I've noticed it. And then it sets up the scene where they actually leave to go out to their car to leave.
Yeah, so they go out to their car to leave, and the nihilists are standing in front of the car, and their car is on fire.
Yeah, and he's like, "You did it! You finally killed my car."
And so one of the nihilists here, this is probably the first time I noticed it, but the first time I watched it, I noticed it, but this was the first time in the movie that I noticed it. Was that one of the nihilists is played by the bassist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Flea, and he has a couple of talking parts, but not very much. So then Walter picks a fight with the nihilists, and they have this big fight. Walter basically ends up beating up the nihilists.
Bites the ear off.
He bites the ear off of one of them. And so then
Donnie asks, he's like, "Are they going to hurt us?" And
he's like,
"They're nihilists. They don't believe in anything."
Yeah, these men are cowards. These men are cowards.
Cowards.
So from the stress of this fight, Donnie has a heart attack.
Yep.
This was rough, man.
Yeah,
this was a rough scene when Donnie goes out because he's been this meek, mild person the whole movie that you're kind of rooting for because they always shut the fuck up, Donnie. Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Oh. So then but they find this way in this movie to just make it hilarious.
Yeah.
because they go and to the funeral home, and the guy is saying, well, the urn costs $180. Walter says, we don't need an urn, we're spreading the ashes. And he's like, well, we have to transport the remains to you in some sort of receptacle. And then after Walter yelling at the guy, he says, is there a Ralph's around here? Which Ralph's is a grocery store chain in the West.
Okay.
It's kind of like Piggly Wiggly here.
I got you.
Or, food fair, IGA food fair. So he goes over to Ralph's, presumably, and gets a Folgers can and puts Donnie's ashes in the Folgers can. So then they go to scatter Donnie's ashes. And Walter has this speech that, eulogy,
yep.
I guess you'd call it. And so he's talking about Donnie. He surfed the beaches from, up to Pismo. And he's like, you took him, Lord.
Yeah.
Like you took so many other men of his generation before their time. At Caisson, Lawn Dock, and Hill 364.
It's another instance where he turned into a Vietnam thing.
Yeah.
He just
so and he starts scattering the ashes. And starts scattering the ashes, and they just blow in the wind right back on the dude.
Yeah.
The dude's got his sunglasses on. There's
man.
ashes all over his mustache. Walter tries to go back and comfort him. He's like, damn it, Walter, not everything's about Vietnam. So, and then another time, fuck it, dude, let's go bowling.
Yeah.
So then it goes back to the bar. The dude comes up. Sam Elliott's sitting at the bar.
Yep.
And it closes the movie out with Sam Elliott talking about the dude and his story and all this stuff. And what a great way to end the movie.
There to you, he's like a sarsaparilla.
You got any of that more good sarsaparilla, friend? And so the last thing that he says, take it easy, dude. And the dude says, he's like, I will. And then Sam Elliott says, I know you will. And he looks at him. He's got 2 beers in his hand, and he says, "The dude abides," which is another famous line, but just the perfect way to end the movie.
Oh yeah.
And then it pans up. A guy bowls a strike, and then boom, the credits. So we ran through the whole thing there. There's some twists and turns in there. I think this is a movie you have to watch 3 or 4 times before you really.
Yeah, because there's still stuff. There's still stuff that you miss if you don't pay attention.
Right.
Like I think the part where Donnie he's dying, he's having a heart attack.
Yeah.
What's he say?
Walter's holding Donnie in his arms as he's dying, and he says, "Don't worry, help's choppering in," like it's Vietnam or something, So just these little, and you won't notice that on your first viewing. There's just no way. Well, Pickens has seen it 100 times. This is the first time I pointed it out.
Yeah, it really. And there's stuff that like you said, you watch 100 times and you see different things. And
so that's it. Why? That's why I kind of want to talk. Why do you think people? There's people who haven't seen this movie, and then there's people who have seen, like my parents. My dad loved it, but my mom hated this movie. Like she didn't get the humor. Something just didn't connect with her.
There's something in people, man, that for some reason, this. I mean, is it dry humor? I don't.
Maybe it is just the dry humor.
And a lot of people, just don't get it, and. That's what I love about stuff. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is.
A lot of this stuff, and we describe it here. It's, it's not really funny, but
right. It's just something you got to watch. You and your buddy or whatever. Even just sit down and watch it by yourself. Like I find myself still watching, still laughing about it, and I've seen it probably 100 times.
Yeah, and I guess so that's why a lot of people. On paper, if you write the movie, if you write the script out on paper, it doesn't sound funny.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Maybe that's why people aren't really,
Well, and no, it just blows my mind that like the actors they got for it, like any role, they fit
Exactly. The
it
casting,
perfect.
the casting in this
Because
movie was amazing.
if they would have got someone else, I don't think it would have been nearly what it was.
Right. Right.
And that's what I think is crazy. There's so many of these movies like this that people haven't seen.
Yep.
Because especially younger generation. I'll be 30 this year, and the guy's 26, 25, whatever. And I can't tell you how many I've talked to that just haven't seen it.
Yep.
And I'll let a guy I used to work with borrow it, and he didn't get it.
Yeah, he just don't get it.
I just don't think. I was like, how do you not think it's funny? But I don't know.
It's just one of those things.
Different humor that you have to respect, and
Yeah, it is different. Like I say, you write it down, it doesn't seem funny. So maybe people just don't get it's the tone, of the movie. It's the subtle tone of everything that's said that just makes it absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, guys, that's our review of the Big Lebowski. We want to put a number to it.
A number?
A number to it out of 10.
I mean,
I've seen this movie so many times. It's like it's like a 9.75 for me.
Yeah, to me, it's as close to a 10 as I'm willing to give it, because it's just one of those. It's on my all time favorite, and of rewatch value and all the I could just keep watching it.
Yeah, and it's like kind of like the like Airplane or the Naked Gun movie.
Oh yeah, anytime those are on, I catch them. That's when we talked about dry humor earlier.
Yeah.
For some reason, I didn't think of the Naked Gun and the Loaded Gun, the one where they're making fun of Lethal Weapon. I thought that was I go on for
but there's just a bunch of stuff in the backgrounds of those movies. Like those movies, you need to watch them so many times because there's this background stuff that is hilarious that you'll never catch, the first time. So,
and I guess a little off topic, but I think the Jay and Silent Bob movie, it's kind of like that way, because if you're a lot of people's too busy watching Jay, but to me, Silent Bob he hardly says anything throughout the movies,
right?
But he's one of if you're watching him, it's the funniest shit I've ever seen. Like where the nun, he's like, "Oh, you live your life by the road too," and Jay and Silent Bob's in the back just shaking his head. It's one of the funniest things. It's one of those that these dry humor movies like that. And I think that's where you'll be watching over here, but if you're not watching. Right, if you're not watching the bike scene, you're gonna miss a lot of funny stuff.
And that's where the rewatchability comes in.
Yes,
that's why we've seen this 150 times. I'm not a stoner at all, but it's just one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So it's about as close to a 10 as you're gonna get. So that wraps up our. Anything else you'd like to say about the Big Lebowski? I think I pretty well covered it.
I think you got it.
If you haven't seen the movie, well, one, why'd you listen to this whole thing? And two, go watch it. Just go watch it. But guys, we're going to go to a little segment now, and I'm just going to let Brent take it over here.
This is our segment. We're going to try to do it once a week. We'll see. It should have never. And I got a few on here that we sat around and we're talking about, and they should have never did the Lethal Weapon TV series. They should have never did the Girl Meets World. Should have never killed John Marston from Red Dead 2.
Red Dead Redemption, but that's a big one with me. They should have never killed John Marston.
Just like you taught me, Pa. You kidding me?
Oh my God.
They should have never remade Total Recall.
Which is it's an abomination.
Yeah. And we're going to have a Total Recall episode. I don't know when we're going to do it, but that is we're going to do one. They should have never let MJ play baseball.
It's ridiculous because now because MJ played baseball, there's debate. He could have won three, 4 more championships. He's off playing baseball, so now it just ruins the greatest debate. Yep. And I'm a greatest debate with another person whose name I shall not mention.
Yeah, that is on that topic too. He also played college, so you had there 3 or 4 years there.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus 2 years of baseball. Well, you do the math. They should have never remade RoboCop.
That's real. Just along same lines as Total Recall.
Same, yeah. They should have never made Godfather Part 3.
Yeah, just let it. You killed Fredo at the end of 2. Just let it be, man.
Yeah, that should have been the end. And this is the last one we got for the week. They should have never quit making NCAA football.
NCAA football series, way better than Madden.
Oh, yeah.
And they continually make Madden. Never make this.
I don't know. But that is all we got for the should have never.
That should have never this week. It's just going to be a bunch of stuff that we think they should have never done.
Yep.
No, they should have never done it. So, guys, that wraps us up for this week. This has been the Couch Thoughts Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at the Couch Thoughts Podcast, at Couch Thought Pod on Twitter. We're on Podomatic. We're on iTunes. Look us up, the Couch Thoughts Podcast. You can find us there, especially on Facebook. Look us up. Go give us a like. Leave us a comment. If you're listening on iTunes, give us a rating and review. We really appreciate it. It helps the podcast out a lot.
Yeah, if you have any ideas on a movie that you would like to hear about or something we hadn't watched, we'd gladly give it a watch.
We'll give it a watch. A game we haven't played, we'll talk about that game. If you have an idea for something they should have never done, let us know in the comments of this podcast. I'm going to post the link on Facebook. Let us know what something that they should have never done, and we'll talk about it on the next show.
Yep.
So, guys, until next week, from a couch, this was the Couch Thoughts Podcast. Peace.